certain phenomena which were present earlier in one family, then came to the other families. Say, for example, Imanu said that the retroflex phonemes, you have to excuse me, I don't know what is the Hindi word for retroflex, so I'm using only English. So if you don't understand, I'm sorry. You have to ask some students from linguistics. Second one. Full screen travel. Second. Next one. Next one. Yes. Yeah. So, retroflex phonemes came to the Indo-Aryan languages from Dravidian family of language. That's what Imanu said in his very famous article. He wrote two articles. One is the India as a linguistic area in 1956. Then next one was maybe 1961, India as a linguistic area revisited, where he added some new features. But his basic article was India as a linguistic area, which was published in 1956. Now, in that article, first of all, he talked about the retroflex phonemes, which came from the Dravidian to Indo-Aryan. And I think my friend Bapuji will talk about India as a linguistic area tomorrow, right, Bapuji? Yes. Okay, good. So I can skip some of the things. Okay, now next feature which Imanu talked about is the echo word construction, which is like bhat chat, chai vai, that kind of things. Now it is again found in almost all the Indian languages, but it was not Indo-Aryan original because it was not present in Indo-European family languages. So what we say that Indo-European, Indo-Aryan, then other languages. So since it is not present in Indo-European, it cannot be an inherited feature of the Indo-European. But since it is there in Indo-Aryan, that means its origin is not Indo-Aryan or not Indo-European. Its origin is basically Munda. That's what Imanu said. It's coming from the Munda family of languages. Similarly, he talked about classifiers. Now, all of your languages have classifiers. Classifier is basically say, in my mother tongue, I will be say, John Manu, right? A is numeral, John is the classifier, and Manu is the man, right? Similarly, in Bangla, you can say ek khana boy, right? So khana is the classifier and boy is a noun. So that way every language have the classifiers. But again, this classifier is not an Indo-Aryan feature. And it came from some other family, which is non-Indo-Aryan. And the order of the classifiers in the Indian language is always either noun plus numeral plus classifier. As I said, say Manu Ejon, noun, Manu Ejon is the numeral, and classifier is John, so Manu Ejon. Or you can have numeral plus classifier plus noun, Manu John, or sorry, Ejon Manu, right? So that way, it's the rule of the classifiers in the Indian languages. Uriana? Yeah, good. Now, when you come to the Northeast India, earlier it was called Seven Sisters till 2020, 2002. Then Sikkim was added to the list. So it became the Eight Sisters now. And these Eight Sisters are managed by the Donier Ministry, which looks after the various developmental works. And when we look at the Indian map, the whole Northeast is connected through the Siliguri corridor, and that's what we call as a chicken snake. Now, if that happens, if something happens there, we are almost gone. So the present Indian government is putting a lot of army people in that area to protect it from the foreign invasion. Since we are talking about now the Northeast, I will come to Assam later on. In Northeast, we have the Indo-Aryan family, Austro-Asiatic family, Tibetan family, and Tai-Kadai family. Tai-Kadai is basically the Ahom languages, and Indo-Aryan is the Assamese, Bangla, then Austro-Asiatic is Khasi, Tibetan, all the languages, Kokborok, in Assam there are many. When you look at the languages spoken in the whole of the Northeast, most of the languages, or the majority of the languages, belong to the Tibetan family of languages. Only two languages in the Northeast belong to the Indo-Aryan, that is Assamese and Bengali. And the language spoken in Arunachal, Manipur, Nagaland, all the languages belong to the Tibetan family of languages. And Khasi, which is spoken in Meghalaya, in Khasi Hills, not in Garu Hills. There's again a Austroasiatic. Garu is a Tibeto-Burman. So Khasi is the only language spoken in Meghalaya as far as the genetic classification is concerned. That is the Austroasiatic. Apart from that, some of the tea gardens in Upper Assam, where Munda language is spoken, they are also belonging to the Austroasiatic family of languages. And since a lot of languages, though it's not 780, it's more than 1,000, since a lot of languages are spoken in Northeast, in reality, Northeast is a multilingual and multi-ethnic area, meaning that almost all the speakers know more than 2 languages. Of course, we make a distinction as Praveen talked about it in his speech. I will make it a bit expanded further. In linguistics, as well in social linguistics, we make distinction between monolingual or monoglot, bilingual, multilingual, or polyglot. Now, monolingual or monoglot is a person who can speak or who can use only one language. Bilingual, technically, is, I'm not talking about trilingual as he said already. So, bilingual technically is a person who can use 2 languages, whereas multilingual is a person who has more than 2 languages. But in social linguistics nowadays, what is happening? We are not using the word multi. In fact, you are using bilingual more often than multilingual. Polyglot is very rarely used. So now what is meant is that we make a distinction between monolingual and bilingual, meaning we are clubbing together bi and multi. So now what do we say? Bilingual is a person who can speak more than one language. We are not delimiting it. We are not saying 3, 4, 5. We are simply saying that bilingual is a person who can speak more than one language, and monolingual is a person who can speak only one language. So there's a basic distinction. So from that point of view, our Northeast is an area where every community, every household are having the bilingual speakers. Now look at your own cases here. The Kokboroks. As soon as the Kokborok come out, a Kokborok speaker come out of his house, he has to speak the local language, Bangla. At home, he may be using or she may be using the Kokborok, but once he comes out of the house, he has to speak his own, the dominant language called Bangla, meaning that he is a bilingual person. I'm not saying about his linguistic expertise, how much fluent he is in Bangla or how much fluent he is Hindi. That's not my concern. That's not our concern. Our concern is that in reality, people in the Northeast use more than 2 languages. And that is the way the Northeast works, meaning all the speakers are more or less bilingual. I may be saying, मैं cigarette, as he said, मैं cigarette खाता हूँ. Really, मैं cigarette खाता हूँ, right? मैं पानी भी खाता हूँ, cigarette भी मैं सब खाता हूँ, right? That's not the issue. Issue is communication. Language is used for communication, not for confrontation, right? So if I can say chai thanda hai, instead of saying chai thandi hai, what's the problem? You have understood, the shopkeeper has understood that chai thanda, so he will give me another cup of tea. If he's a good shopkeeper without charging me, so he'll give me a tea which is hot. But point is that I am able to communicate in a kind of language. So whether you are grammatically right or wrong, that doesn't matter. What matters is how many languages you are using, how many languages you are using for communication. So since you are using more than one language for communication, even without being grammatically correct, that's not going to harm anything, because we do not say in linguistics that X is a good language or Y is a bad language. In linguistics, all the languages are equally good. That's a point I'm trying to emphasize, that once you can communicate with a language and the person, the receiver, can understand your speech, that's fine. You are able to communicate, meaning that you are a bilingual person. Okay, now, since there is an issue of multilinguality in the Northeast, now, what is unique in the Northeast is that we always preserve our mother tongue at home, meaning that we maintain the mother tongue because we use the mother tongue, and as soon as we go out of the house, we use other language if the situation demands. So meaning that the Northeast is an area where preservation is taking place. I'll give you one example from my area where I am working, that's Silchar. There is a small community called Chorei. There is hardly, and their language is not included in the census because their number is less. The census rule is that if a if a language has less than 10,000 of speakers, it will not be included in the census report. So the name Chore, you won't find it there because it has less number of speakers. But even then, the Chore speakers used to be hardly 500 or 600. They are able to maintain the language, even though Bengali, the local variety in Silchar is called Sileti, even though the Sileti is pressurizing, but they are able to maintain the language because of this multi ethnicity. They are using their language at home. They are handing over their language to the children, to the next generation, and as soon as they come out, they speak the local variety, the Bangla. So they sustain the use of the mother tongue in their home, and that way they are, I will say, they are preserving their mother tongue, even though there is a kind of there kind of pressure on them to give up their language. So since a lot of language are spoken, and Northeast may be the only place in whole of India where there is no language class. So far, we haven't seen any kind of language class. There was a class between Assamese and Bengali long time back, that was 60s, but after that there's no class, meaning that all the languages in the Northeast are living peacefully, like a good neighbor, and there is also a kind of cultural assimilation between the speakers. I'll give you my own example. See, this dhaga, right? It is not an Assamese tradition, this dhaga. You won't find it among the Assamese people, generally speaking. I started using it, I started loving it when I went to Pune for my MA some 30 years back. So I started loving it, and from that time onwards, I'm still wearing it. So I'll call it a kind of cultural assimilation, right? Because if you love somebody's culture, there's no harm. The way I am wearing the jeans pant, some of you are wearing jeans pant, it's not our part of our culture, right? Jeans was used for the coal miners who worked in the gold mines in South Africa. Because if they wear terracotta pants, the clothes is very thin, their skin will be cut. So a kind of thick clothes develop the jeans so that they can wear it. So at that point in time, jeans was the marker for a labor class. Now, see the reverse one. The labor class is not wearing the jeans nowadays. We are putting it on. So there's a cultural assimilation. You can say a kind of change that's taking place over the years. And this kind of linguistic diversity that we see in Northeast is unparalleled. There is a very good example which was given to us by our own teacher some 30 years back. I love it and still I remember it. The example given by my teacher was like this. You suppose you have gone to a garden, a rose garden, to see it. And in that rose garden, there's only one color of rose, full of roses, but only one color. Next, you visit another garden. This again a rose garden, but in that garden there are multicolors roses. हिंदी तो मेरा वही होगा, अच्छा ठंडा है. अच्छा कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है इंग्लिश समझने में? मुझे मरवा दिया. मुझे मरवा दिया. Okay. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं बीच बीच में बोलने की कोशिश करूंगा. तो आप दूसरी गार्डन में गए हो तो उसमें यू हैव सीन कि अलग अलग कलर की रोजेस है. तो व्हिच वन यू विल लाइक? मल्टी कलर. व्हाई? Because there is variety, right? There is diversity. That's the point. Now, सबको मल्टी कलर गार्डन पसंद आया रोज का because of diversity, and same thing happens in here also. So linguistic diversity is always preferable क्योंकि वहां पे आपको अलग अलग कल्चर्स मिलेंगे, अलग अलग भाषाएं मिलेंगे, and that helps you to broaden your mind. जो आप हिंदी में जो कुएं की मेंढक बोलते हैं मेरे ख्याल से, if any Hindi native speaker, no, I think it said something like कुएं का मेंढक or something like that, if you don't go out of your house, you got stuck into a particular area, particular field. So go out, बाहर जाइए, थोड़ा दिमाग, थोड़ा मन को बड़ा कीजिए, so that helps you, right? Okay, now coming back to Assam, as I said, Assam में mainly दो भाषाएं हैं, majority, that is Indo-Aryan, Assamese and Bengali. लेकिन मेजोरिटी वाइज तिब्बत बोडो ज्यादा है. हाँ, लैंग्वेज अलग अलग है, जैसे बोरो है, देवरी है, दिमासा, गारो, कार्बी, राभा, तिवा एक्सेट्रा, अलग अलग भाषाएं हैं. लेकिन इफ यू लुक एट द नंबर ऑफ स्पीकर्स, इफ यू क्लब टुगेदर ऑल द तिब्बत स्पीकर्स ऑन वन हैंड और इंडो-आर्यन एक दूसरे हाथ में, तो तिब्बत स्पीकर्स ज्यादा है नंबर वाइज. ठीक है, बोरो स्पीकर्स असमी से कम हो सकता है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट इशू. व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि तिब्बत को एक साथ ले लेंगे और इंडो-आर्यन को एक साथ ले लेंगे तो तिब्बत स्पीकर्स ज्यादा है. लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली असम में असमीज ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज है, सो ऑल द तिब्बत स्पीकर्स मस्ट लर्न असमीज. तो ये एक प्रॉब्लम. और जो ताई कदाई फैमिली है, पहले ये सब तो तिब्बत में ही ऐड होता था, बाद में अलग सा फैमिली बन गए ताई कदाई. तो इसमें ताई अहोम लैंग्वेज मेनली है, जो अहोम के भाषाएं थे, which is dead now. It's remaining only a language of pujas, right? Then there are some other languages like Tai Phake, Tai Khamyang, Tai Aichon, Tai Khamti. ये सब minor language है, but belonging to ताई कदाई family. और खासी जैसे मैं बोला कि ऑस्ट्रोएशियटिक है, ये मेघालय में बोले जाते हैं, and some parts of कार्बी आंगलांग जो मेघालय के साथ border areas में है. And then Assamese is the lingua franca, obviously being the official language of Assam. It has worked as a lingua franca. और Assamese ने 2-3 lingua franca creation में भी help किए हैं. Say for example, there is a lingua franca contact language called Nagamese, which is used in Nagaland. That's my language, meaning that I worked on the language for my PhD. Similarly, there was a lingua franca in Arunachal Pradesh called Nepalese, which was again Assamese based, but unfortunately it's dead in a sense that people do not use it nowadays. तो उन लोग वहाँ पे हिंदी बोलते हैं. But whatever it is case, Assamese has used, or Assamese has been is being used as a lingua franca whole of Assam. आप अगर असम में जाएंगे तो Assamese बोलना ज़्यादा बेहतर है. एसपीएल ब्रह्मपुत्र वैली में, बराक वैली में ठीक है, बंगाली चलता है. You can use Hindi also. Now coming back to the next slide, जैसे मैं बोला कि वहाँ असम में बहुत सारी भाषाएं बोली जाती है, तो इसीलिए there is a kind of coexistence between different languages, or there is no language clash. यहाँ पे मैं कुछ बातें बोलूँगा जो प्रवीण से थोड़ा सा अलग होंगे, because since it is my mother tongue Assamese, I know better than Praveen about my mother tongue. Now, Imanu said that, as I said earlier, कि ये जो retroflex sounds है, retrophonemes are third, which I may not know how to pronounce it exactly because it's not present in my mother tongue. So ये जो third है, द्रविड़ियन से आए हैं इंडो-आर्यन में, तो असमीज में नहीं है. असमीज में नहीं है क्योंकि असमीज is surrounded by Tibetan family of languages, और Tibetan family में थर्ड नहीं है. तो इसी की वजह से, क्योंकि you have to see, Hindi has, all the Dravidian languages has, Marathi has, तो Assamese में क्यों नहीं है? Assamese में इसलिए नहीं है कि we must have, एक दूसरी स्लाइड में मैं दिखाऊंगा, we had it, लेकिन since it is not available in the TB languages, और TB languages की influence की वजह से Assamese has lost the retroflex series of sounds. Now it has become simply either dental or alveolar. और इसमें मैं यही लिखा कि जो ताई कदाई है, Assamese losses because ताई कदाई, because Ahom was the language of the Ahoms, the kings. They came to Assam in 1228, and there is an Yandabu agreement between the British and Ahom, British and Myanmar, that is in 1826, so almost 600 years of rule. So the Ahoms gave up their own language in favor of Assamese. ये एडवर्ड गेट की हिस्ट्री ऑफ असम में लिखा हुआ है, अहोम ने अपना रिलीजन भी छोड़ दिया है, दे हैव बिकम हिंदू. That's why you get the name of, let's say, Rudra Singha, Shiva Singha, all those Hindu names. And they also made Assamese as a language of the courts, meaning Assamese become their mother tongue. Or इसीलिए Thai Ahom is no more. Ahom language is dead because of that one. And since Ahom language was a language of the rulers, so Ahom language की मेरे ख्याल से और सभी लोग वही बोलते हैं कि more than the Tibetan, Ahom has more influence on Assamese. That is why Assamese lost the retroflex phonemes. The next point is the velar nasal ng. Now this ng is very prominent in almost all the Tibetan languages. Say for example, those of you who are speaking Kokborok or Boro, you have ng, meaning fish. What is the word for fish in Kokborok? Nga. Ah, not nga. Really? Wow, that's surprising. Because in most of the Tibetan languages spoken in Assam, na is for fish. Na. Right? So that's why I thought it may be in na also in Kokborok. Now, meaning the point is that na is present in Tibetan in all the positions. See, we have three positions in a word: initial, medial, and final. जो sound वर्ड की बिगिनिंग में होगा दैट्स इनिशियल, जो मिडिल में होगा मीडियल, जो फाइनल में होगा फाइनल. ये जो न साउंड है तिब्बतन लैंग्वेज में तीनों पोजीशंस में है. ठीक है. असमीज में भी ये है लेकिन फर्स्ट पोजीशन में नहीं है, सेकंड एंड फाइनल में, मतलब मिडिल एंड फाइनल में है. लेकिन बाकी लैंग्वेज में स्पेशली द से हिंदी, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट हिंदी. ये हिंदी स्पीकर्स अगर असम आएंगे, असम में एक है रेल स्टेशन से रंगिया, फर्स्ट इज रोंगिया और बंगाईगांव. A Hindi speaker will say Rangia or Bangaigaon, because in Hindi na is not there. It's there, but na has to be followed by a homogenic ga. So they will say Rangia, right? So in Hindi, that famous Amitabh Bachchan sang Silsila, Rang Barse, they say Rang Barse. He didn't say Rang Barse, he said Rang Barse. So na has to be with ga always. But in Assamese, it's not there. It's only na. It's because of the TV influences, right? So that's another part of it. Now, this is the what I gave you the example. Say wrong, rangia, bangaigaon. These are all typical Assamese words, and we say it wrong, rangia, bangaigaon. But the Hindi speakers, the people from Central India, they will say rang, rangia, bangaigaon because of the influence of their own language, meaning that it's present in their own language. That no has to be followed by ga, right? In Assamese, it's not there because of the influence of Tibetan languages. Okay, second point about the language. Now, this is an example of linguistic area, that mutual influence, right? Now, Assam is a linguistic area, Sprakbun area. Because of that, this is one example of mutual influence. Influence from Tibetan to Assamese, right? Okay. The next point is that all the languages, Indo-Aryan languages, make use of classifiers. Say Bengali, Uriya, Maithili, whatever, they make use of classifiers. लेकिन Assamese में इतने सारे classifiers है, it's much more than the number of classifiers used by the Bengali or other speakers. We have different classifiers for depending on the shape of the noun, shape and size. Say for example, if something is long, we say con, or flat, say train con, right? Nodi con, right? We, depending on the shape and size of the noun, we have to use different classifiers. That's a rule of Assamese. Meaning that Assamese काफी ज्यादा classifiers हैं in comparison to other Indo-Aryan languages. क्यों? It's because Tibetan language में classifiers ज्यादा है. Huge number of classifiers are used in all the Tibetan language, and because of the Tibetan influence, Assamese starts using a number of classifiers. Now coming back to the point which Praveen just, yeah. Classifier is a word which has to be used before or after a noun to talk about the shape and size of the noun. Say for example, the knife. The knife is flat. I'm talking my mother tongue, right? The knife is flat. So in Assamese the rule is if it is a flat, you have to use a word con. right? After the knife. So the knife is flat, so we will say kotari kho. It's a rule. We have to use it. You can't say kotari. That is a kind of generic term. So if you want to be specific, use the one kotari. The train, the river. River is long and flat, so we will say nodi kho. You can say nodi, but then it will be a generic term, any river. But when you say that river is long, then nodi khan di kho. So that's yeah, please.
This cluster means, suppose in Odia, humans and non-humans are classified based on their uh, visibility. For example, Gai Guriko. Gai Guriko. Jana. For human beings, it is Jana. For animals, it is Guriko. So, Guriko and Jana are classified. When it comes to the Telugu, you take two pens, okay, two men. We have to use ఇద్దరు మనుషులు రెండు పెన్నులు. రెండు is ఇవల్, ఇద్దరు is which refers to the human beings. రెండు కుక్కలు, two dogs, ఇద్దరు మనుషులు. So same number used in a different. ఇద్దరు రెండు, ఇద్దరు is for humans, రెండు is for the non-human. There, Gurika is for the non-human, Gai Guriko, Manshijan. That is the classifier. But it can be explained in a different. Sorry, sir.
And now it's fine. Yeah, thank you. Now, coming back to the other issue, which I said a few slides ago, that Assamese lost the affricate or retroflex because of the Tibetan influences. Now, the proof is, हम लोग linguistics में यही बोलते हैं कि speech is primary, writing is secondary, and speech is ephemeral, writing is permanent. Meaning, writing जो लिखा गया script है वो permanent रहता है. Whatever is written on the walls of the caves is still there to be read, right? Now in Assamese we have this. Now Assamese script is developed from Brahmi, right? So we call it Assamese script, and Bangla script. So it's all developed from Brahmi. Now the script has all this Modinaka, Modina. This and Modina is a retroflex, right? Now we say Modina, but we pronounce it as simple alveolar or dental. Now, which proves a fact that there was a time when Assamese must have retroflex. Otherwise, it cannot be there in the script, right? We say cha and cha, but in Assamese it's simply sa and sa. We say pratham sa, ditiya sa. But in Bangla, same script will be read as cha and cha, right? But then why we don't do that? If we don't, then why we started writing it? That proves a point that once upon a time, Assamese had all these retroflex. Otherwise, it simply cannot come to the script. As simple as that. Because script is permanent. So whatever script we got from our forefathers some 100 years back, at that time, it means that we had that retroflex sound. That is why it is written in the script. And now, because of the influence of the Tibetan languages, हमको ये सब हम लोग भूल गए हैं, meaning that it has become obsolete for us, and we started writing it, but we started pronouncing it simply as fricative, or this two. This is fricative हो गया, sa हो गया, and these are becoming either alveolar or dental. Right? But we say Modinata, but in pronunciation, you can see it. When you say ta, it's here, dental. Right? You can easily see that. Okay. Similarly, जितने सारी इंडोरियन लैंग्वेजेस हैं, सभी में पैलेटल फ्रिकेटिव्स हैं, एफ्रिकेट्स हैं, बट अगेन असमिस में नहीं है. क्योंकि it's because of the influence of the Tibetan languages. So these are the influences, right? Whatever we said about Assamese from other languages. Because the languages are in touch, in contact with each other, so there is a mutual influence. Now the other point of linguistic area is borrowing. Now here I'm talking only about the lexical items. I'm not talking the grammar, right? Because you won't understand it, and it's going to be very pretty lengthy. So to make it short, we'll talk about the borrowing. The basic point of linguistic area is that borrowing is not one-sided. It means that the minor languages will borrow and the major language will also borrow from the minor language. That's a point of linguistic area. There's a mutual influence. It's not one-way traffic, right? You can go, you cannot come in. No, it's both-way traffic. You can go, you can come. So the linguistic area is of that both-way traffic. The borrowing will happen. The borrowing will take place from both the sides, major and minor. Okay. Now, as I said, Assam is majority language, being a state language. But even then, Assamese borrowed a lot of words from the other languages. Examples हैं ये सब है गारो है जो तीव्र में है उसमें afa meaning boy. So in Assamese, especially in Kamrupi it becomes afa. It's not in standard Assamese, but in Kamrupi it's afa, coming from borrow afa. Right? Similarly, even say Garo, Jolong becoming Dolong, bridge. Now once you say all these words, say Bakhor is coming from Khasi, Bakhor and Danpoda. Now all these words, you can see that Assamese borrowed the words from minor languages, minor Tibetan languages. And there is a clear-cut proof. These are all found in Banikanta Kakoti's thesis as well as Kaliram Medi's book. And you cannot say or you cannot doubt their expertise. Right? Okay, so that's gone. Coming the words from the minor to majority. Now it's the other way around, the other way traffic coming from the major to the minor. Now there is a language called Tiwa, which is spoken in Morigao, Nagaon, and that's a Tibetan language. It's a sad story for Tiwa because most of the plain Tiwas are on the verge of giving up their language, meaning that language shift is taking place. Kyunke they are surrounded. I'm talking about the plain Tiwas. The plain Tiwas are surrounded by the Assamese people, and unfortunately, their language is also not used in the school domain, meaning that the Tiwa children, when they go to school, they have to either learn it through English or Assamese. उन लोगों के लिए कोई दूसरा उपाय है ही नहीं. हाल ही में हमारी एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर रनोज पेगू ने डिसीजन लिए थे, मेरे ख्याल से इट वाज इन 2019 और 20, जिसमें उन्होंने बोले थे कि तिवा, राभा और टोटल 5 लैंग्वेज के बारे में बोले थे. दोज लैंग्वेज विल बी टॉट एज ए language of instruction, the primary level. लेकिन अभी तक कुछ हुआ नहीं. Okay, it's still on paper, but we hope that it will be done very shortly. Okay, now coming back to this Tiwa, इसमें ये जो 2 division है, it's based on the living place. They speak the same language, Tiwa, but one group is called Hills Tiwa because they live in the hills, as well in Karbi Anglong. The other group is called Plains Tiwa. They live in the plains. Because that's why they are called plains, and the plain Tiwas have almost lost their language because they are surrounded by the Assamese people, whereas the hill Tiwas are maintaining their language because they are living in some hillocks where they are far away from the Karbis. तो अपने आप में उन लोग खुश हैं, तो इसीलिए मेरे ख्याल से उन लोग अपना लैंग्वेज इसीलिए पिक अप कर पा रहे हैं. And apart from that, they are also getting it's difficult to say here in the formal situation, but religion is also playing a role there. Hill Tiwas are mostly Christian, so you know the Christian missionaries, so they pump a lot of money into that. So their Tiwa language is being used in few schools in Karbi Anglong, so that's a plus point for them. But anyway, for God's sake, don't quote me. Huh? So this is not supposed to be said here in the formal situation. Okay. Now, the plain Tiwas, you cannot identify them by looking at or by hearing their speech. You can identify by looking at their face only, or their face is Mongoloid, or their surnames only. The way they speak Assamese is just like me. Only their surname will be say Amsi, Ampi, Amsong, Korsong. These are their surnames. Only when they say my name is Falana Samsung, oh, okay, he is Tiwa. Otherwise, you cannot identify because he or she speaks the same kind of Assamese with the same kind of fluency that I am having as a native speaker. So because of this issue, the Tiwas are borrowing a lot of words from Assamese. Lot of words means lot of words. Generally, in linguistics, what happens that we say that we generally do not borrow the kinship terms. That's a fundamental thing in linguistics. Kinship terms are not borrowed generally. It's always our own words. But look at what happened in Tiwa. All these are kinship terms. Assamese kinship terms. Abu is a grandmother, Ma is mother, Mama is in Assamese we call it say Mama. Then in Assamese we say Bhagin, it becomes Pagin because of phonology modification. But whatever it is, in linguistics we say the kinship terms are never ever borrowed, but Tiwa वो रूल ब्रेक कर दिए हैं, उन लोगों ने बोरो करना शुरू कर दिए हैं. Even body parts, there are a lot of things which I don't want to go into. Say animal, birds name, fruits and flowers, almost all names are here Assamese. Of course, there is a what we call as a phonology modification. The system ये है language में, if you borrow a words and the sounds are not available in your mother tongue, what you do, you modify it according to your own system of the language. Now, say for example, in Assamese, I won't say borrow, but we use many words in typical Assamese way. Typical Assamese way, the English words. Say for example, we don't say restaurant, right? Restaurant is a French word, right? Because in France, the rule is that you should never pronounce the final consonant. It should always be nasalized. It's not Napoleon. We say Napoleon, but it's Napoleon. You have to make it final nasalization, the final word. That's the rule of the French. So in English, the N is written Napoleon, so we say Napoleon, right? We say restaurant. It's not restaurant, it's a restaurant. You make it nasalized. Anyway, so that's the rule. But we don't follow it because we do it according to our own system. What is our system? That whatever words are there, whatever sounds are there, you pronounce it. If you write it, you pronounce it. So that's what happens here. That's a fundamental. So whatever, that's why I said that in Tiwa, you don't have ha. Right? So Assamese is Phagin, since they don't have bha, so they will replace it by near stabilization, so it becomes Pagin. Right? So bha becomes pa. So that's called phonological modification, and it is available in all the languages. So I think that should be enough. Yeah, I think these are all fine because I have almost 320. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's enough. Now, if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer it. Ask me any questions. Any questions related to this one? Yeah.
I have three questions.
Yeah.
The first question is related to any ancient name of Assamese, because when we learn about the history, it was named Kandu. So the name change हुआ है, कोई Assamese का भी ancient name है मुझे ना देना. Any ancient name of Assamese का विशेष है. तो दूसरा क्वेश्चन Assamese derived from where? कैसे ये derived हुआ? कहाँ से ये word आया है? और तीसरा है कि when it was named, reason called Kamru, and how it is named Assamese. And the third one is when we talk about the Indian Aryan population, as it is the language of the Indian continent, but you mentioned that it the Indo-Aryan region, Indo-Aryan represented by Assamese and Bengali. So, and the other hand, you have mentioned in Squadron, it is mentioned that the speaker of these languages are living in India for centuries together. But instead of Indian subcontinent, it was mentioned only the India. So what is the difference?
Okay. First thing is about the Assam, right? The word Kamrup was older than Assam because it is mentioned even in Mahabharata also, right? Kamrup. But the history and the people believe that the name Assam came from the Ahoms. Ahom, Ahom, Ahom. That's the historical evolution. That's what people say. But since, as I said, there is no proof. You have to get the history, no? But there is no proof. But people believe that since Ahom, 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 that's number one. Number two, some people also say, some linguists, that Assam is full of hills. So Ahom means which is not, level. It's all homo, up and down. Right? So that all is a negative marker, not samo, not level. So there are two possibilities. But many people believe that it's because of the Ahoms only. From Ahom it becomes Ahom. That's number one. So Kamrup kingdom was Bhagaratta, Narakasur, right? Bhaskar Burma. So those are part of all those things. So basically, Kamrup was the oldest name, the Pragjyotishpura, right? The area where the sun rises for the first time, Pragjyotishpura. That's the basic meaning. So from that point of view, Assam is later than Kamrupa. Kamrupa is the oldest name. Then after Ahom became the Assam from Ahom, right? And second one, I said, maybe you haven't understood me properly. I say that Indo-Aryan languages are spoken in India basically, which basically means that in the whole Indian subcontinent, right? And Indo-Aryan languages are language of India. And that's what I wanted to say. Maybe I dropped that idea, or I couldn't say, I didn't say it. Maybe that's why. What is the third point, sir?
The first point is any ancient name of Assamese that you told that it is derived from Tao.
Yeah, that's what we believe. Yeah. There's one more Assamese teacher. He can also enlighten us. Yeah. What is the second one?
So my first point was related to the ancient name of Assamese
Yeah, that's
that you
it.
has
That's
mentioned
done,
already,
yeah.
that it was derived from the Ahom.
Yeah.
And this Assamese word derived from where? So it was also clear.
Yeah,
from
and
your-
all Indo-Aryan
So,
family.
And
Yeah.
the other name was related to the Kamrup. That was ancient name mentioned in the Janpat system. So you has also mentioned about this. And the other one question is related to Indian Aryan group of languages. As when we study about the
That's
Indian
not,
group
not,
of
not, we don't call Indo-Aryan, we say
Indo-Aryan,
Indo-Aryan.
yes,
Yeah.
it's Indo-Aryan, yes, I am saying that. The Indo-Aryan group of languages, when we learn about the Indo-Aryan group of languages, it is a language of the Indian continent. And the whole Indian states are covered, including the Nepal, Bhutan, and the adjoining areas. The states were.
But no, you have to also understand that in India, Tibeto-Burman language are also spoken.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not
yes.
only Indo-Aryan languages.
Yes.
It's Tibeto-Burman also spoken.
So that's that.
Yeah. Tibeto-Burman is also spoken. So they are
Yes.
also Indians,
Yes, sir.
right?
So that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
what is the difference between?
No, difference is the origin, the genesis, basically. The origin, that's why I said BBS Rao Sahab is there, at the end is sitting there. So nowadays people, that's why the last line. Bharatiya Bhasha Pariwar. Now, people nowadays, it's started being said that why do we want to divide the India on the linguistic lines? Let's have one family, Bharatiya Bhasha, where all the language will come under same category. But the point is that the Indo-Aryan language are spoken in Indian subcontinent along with some other languages like Tibeto-Burman, Thai, Kadai, Great Andamanese, which is a language isolated spoken in the Andamans. So different languages spoken in India. So that's the point I was trying to make. I hope I have satisfied your queries.
I have a small question, sir, regarding the name of Assam.
Yeah.
In rest of India, we pronounce as Assam. That means Sa, Talavya Sa. In writing also we write S. But in Assam, when I went there in one program, they are calling it Ahomia language, Ahomia Pradesh. It is Ha. So whether it is Sa or Ha while writing in the script, so Ha. Okay. Ahomia language. Ahomia language. Okay.
I say Ahomia. You cannot. Don't try it. That way I cannot try his language. We have a common friend. His name is Arun, right? I will always say Arun. I can't say Arun. I cannot say. I don't say it. He's a Tamil, so I simply say Arun. So similarly, you can't say Hom. It's Hom. Ahom.
Sir, namaste. Out of curiosity, I wish to ask that you told Ahom is a word for Assam, Ahom, just something. Is there any rule for Hakara turns into Sa, Talavya Sa? Is there any rule? Just I want to know. Because here Ha is turned into Sa. No.
There are two rules. No, there are two rules in linguistics. Say for example, the affricates, first rule, the affricates become fricating in Assamese. Right? No, the cha becomes sa. Right? And second rule is the sa becomes ha. The second rule. So Assam becomes ahom. It's, I'll do one more example. Let's say
सर
yeah,
ये
please.
इसमें एक कुछ बात करना चाहते हैं स और ख के बारे में। दरअसल ख का उच्चारण जो है वो असम में ही ऐसा है नहीं है, वो वैदिक काल से ही स का उच्चारण सामवेद के समय सामवेद में स का उच्चारण ख ही बोलते हैं। जो वैदिक मंत्र होते हैं उसमें स को ख का उच्चारण किया जाता है।
नहीं, लेकिन नहीं, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, आपको कैसे पता चला?
वेद मंत्रों का जब उच्चारण किया जाता है तो उसमें जहां जहां स है,
नहीं, वेद मंत्र आप अभी कर रहे हैं ना?
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
हजारों साल पहले कैसे कि आपको पता नहीं है?
नहीं वो परंपरा से चल रहा है।
और वही तो अगर कहीं नहीं, अगर कहीं चेंज हो गया तो नहीं, अगर कहीं चेंज हो गया तो
श्रुति परंपरा है तो
हाँ।
श्रुति परंपरा में चेंज नहीं हुआ है,
हाँ।
वही चल रहा है, लेकिन असम में उसका प्रभाव ज्यादा हुआ है। और बेसिकली ये कहते हैं कि स का उच्चारण तो है, ह कहते हैं व ख कहते हैं हम, लेकिन जहां संयुक्त वर्ण होते हैं, संयुक्त स्वर के साथ स आ जाते हैं, वहां हम स ही बोलते हैं। जैसे चिकित्सालय, स को वहां पर स ही बोलते हैं, ख नहीं बोलते। तो
लेकिन साथ में और एक प्रॉब्लम है एसएमएस में। हम लोग बोलेंगे हिबहागर, किंतु हम लोग कभी गणेश नहीं बोलेंगे, गणेश बोलेंगे। अभी सवाल है क्यों? उसमें भी गणेश ही बोलना चाहिए ना। गणेश मंदिर, हम लोग गणेश मंदिर नहीं बोले, हम बोले गणेश मंदिर। लेकिन शिव को हिबो बोलेंगे। नहीं, शिव में भी ताली भाषा है। शिव में भी ताली भाषा ही है। शिव में ताली भाषा है। विशेष सरस्वती
सर, ये इसी के लिए असमिया भाषा है, नहीं तो संस्कृत हो जाता।
अपना है, अपना यूनिक आइडेंटिटी है, अभी हम लोग मेंटेन कर रहे हैं।
Sir, for a short period, I was in Kerala. There is a word "ra," Alapura. The word "ra" is not a "sha" and not "sa." The between "sa" and "sha," Alapura. There are some few alphabets in Kerala language also, Malayalam. In Malayalam language also, it is not "sha." मूर्धन्य "sha" नहीं है और दंत्य "sa" नहीं है, इन दोनों का बीच में है Alapura. ZH लिखते हैं, वो इंग्लिश में जब लिखेंगे ZH लिखते हैं।
लेकिन इंडोरियन लैंग्वेज में ये ह सिर्फ असमीज में ही है। इंडोरियन लैंग्वेज में ह बाकी कहीं लैंग्वेज में नहीं है, असमीज की छोड़ के। इंडोरियन में सिर्फ हम में ही है इसमें ह, और तीनों पोजीशंस में है।
नहीं, कई भाषा में ये सब वो प्रांतीय उच्चारण है। क्योंकि मैं कुछ दिन पहले 15 साल पहले तो आपका जो ये बोडो लैंग्वेज के ऊपर में कुछ काम कर रहा था, तो संस्कृत का प्रभाव को लेकर, तो उधर में जाकर कुछ लोगों से मिला और वो अनुभव हुआ। तो ये प्रांतीय प्रभाव, वो प्रांतीय प्रभाव भी आपका अहम में, असमिया में और सब जगह पे भी नहीं है समान उच्चारण।
हाँ, नहीं,
वो पूरा अलग अलग है। और आसाम में ये एक व्यतिक्रम है, आप बोल सकते हैं। एक गांव में 2 घर है, इस घर का भाषा उस घर में नहीं चलेगा, ऐसा भी होता है। जो
आपका ट्राइबल लैंग्वेज में, तो ऐसा 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 भी देखा जाता है आसाम में।
हो सकता है।
तो इसीलिए मैं जो बोल रहा था, जो हमारे पूरा इंडिया में जितने भी लैंग्वेज है, आसाम में लगभग 300 लैंग्वेज है, और वो ये सारे गांव में, एक एक गांव में 15, 20, 25 लैंग्वेज वो चलता है। तो ये आसाम का एक ये है, वो वैशिष्ट है और वैचित्र भी है सर।
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is that you have explained through your PPT that the plains people who are accepting Assam language and for which they are somehow forgetting their language. Similarly, which we see in Tripura, that most of the people are speaking in Bengali and they are somehow forgetting their mother language. So, what steps or what precautions should we take to preserve their mother languages?
Start using it in your own home. Simple answer.
No, sir. Problem is that the family members for the acceptance of the society, they are speaking like Bengalis. They are not using their mother language.
That is the problem, no? That's what I'm saying. Forget about what the society says. Society is not going to feed you, right? You have to earn your own money to earn the bread butter. If you sit at home and ask the society feed me, society is not going to feed you. Then why are you worrying about what the society thinks? Use your own mother tongue at the home. Guli maro society ko. That's the only way. Society is not going to help you anyway. You have to make it sure that I'm going to use my mother tongue. I'm going to hand over the language to the next generation. Then only the language can survive. Otherwise, it cannot survive. As simple as that. And don't say that government will do something. Government will never ever do anything. The process has to start from the home, from you. That make it sure. That's the best one. Today is the International Mother Language Day, right? Which was started in Bangladesh a long time back, before independence, before 70 years in 1956, something like that. So take a place that from today onwards, I'm going to use my mother tongue in my home with my family. And see, after 10 years, everyone will start doing it, the same thing.
Okay, sir.
That's the one.
Thank you very much, sir. We had a nice interactive session. We shared our knowledge with sir. Sir shared his knowledge with us. And now I would like to offer my heartfelt gratitude to sir, Professor Ajit Kumar Vaishya, sir, Department of Linguistics, Assam University, Silchar. On behalf of Central Sanskrit University, Akalaba campus, and from the organizer, sir, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to you. And besides, I had an announcement also. I have an announcement also. Announcement is that one. Now we are going to have a group photo. After the group photo, we are going to have our next session. So I would like to request all to comply with that one. Thank you very much.